Must be honest with each other and with ourselves. Too much of what's happening in our country today is not normal. Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic. Now, I want to be very clear up front. Not every Republican, not even the majority of Republicans are MAGA Republicans. Not every Republican embraces their extreme ideology. I know, because I've been able to work with these mainstream Republicans.
Where are those cicadas? They're somewhere up there. They're up there, hiding in the trees. This is my first video update coming to you from Athens, Greece on this Friday, September 2nd. And you saw the opening video segment with Joe Bidenopoulos, Greece's favorite son, giving a speech in Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. And this was not a campaign speech. This was an official White House sanctioned administration speech. And what a speech it was. The enemy is the 80 million America First U.S. citizens. That is the enemy as outlined by the Biden administration, by the Biden White House. And it is these America First voters that are a threat to America's democracy. And the content of Bidenopoulos' speech was absolutely terrifying, but expected. We've been talking about this on the Duran for a while now, how the strategy is now to distract away from the current leadership's shortcomings and their deficiencies and the fact that they're leading the collective West into an economic and societal collapse, and to shift the focus on going after Trump voters, America First, Putin sympathizers, China, Chinese sympathizers, even Erdogan and Turkey, to shift the focus away from their policy and shift it onto this group of people that they're trying to define, and they're the ones that are at fault for the collapse of the West, and they're the people that have to be rooted out. What Biden calls the semi-fascists. That's what he defines these people as, the semi-fascists. Pure projection, by the way, because we all know who the real fascists are. But this is how they're using projection now to distract away from their failures and for their lust and desire to centralize more power and obtain more power. But aside from the content of Biden's speech, wow, was that set absolutely dystopian and satanic and terrifying and bizarre. I mean, that thing was like something out of a Hollywood film. That was like out of 1984 or I don't even know, The Empire Strikes Back, but only with instead of Emperor Palpatine, you have Emperor Bidenopoulos, a dumber version of a dumber, more confused, dementia version of Emperor Palpatine. and I mean, the set was just the red backdrop, the shadowed out Marines in the backdrop, Biden yelling and then just going full crazy. The images, the video, that's going to haunt the Biden White House forever. The images coming out of that speech, the video of that speech is historic, but it absolutely defines the leadership of our time. Who came up with this set design? They can't hide their evil, can they? They can't hide it anymore. They can't come out with a more friendly, a neutral, a more bright set design, a more patriotic set design. They went full 1984 dystopian, authoritarian dictator mode in the entire set design. That thing was that was crazy. Anyway, let's shift gears. Let's shift focus and talk about the latest updates with regards to the Zaporozhye, the failed Zaporozhye assault, the nuclear power plant assault from the Zelensky regime, and the failed Kherson counteroffensive. So I did a search on Google, which I try not to do, but I did a search on Google News, and I typed in Zaporozhye nuclear power plant. I typed in Zelensky Zaporozhye nuclear power plant assault, nuclear power plant raid. It's okay. Person was walking there. There was a person walking there, and they thought I was filming that way, and they stopped. And I'm filming this way, but yeah, I was like, it's okay, you can pass. That was nice of her. What was I saying? Yeah, so I did a search, and I put in all these keywords, and I came up with nothing. If you're following the media, CNN, the Collective West media, you would think that nothing happened with regards to the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant, that there was no assault, no botched or failed assault. Not one clue was given from Google News and from my searches with regards to the collective mainstream media. I pulled out three sources that I thought, going by the title or going by the opening paragraph, we're going to actually talk about the botched Zelensky raid at the power plant. The Institute for the Study of War, which is the Victoria Nuland funded Institute for the Study of War. I thought, oh, whoa, they're going to talk about it. There it is. They're going to actually mention the botched raid. This is what they had to say. Russian authorities escalated claims that Ukrainian forces are threatening both the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant and the newly arrived IAEA delegation on the territory of the ZNPP. That's all they had to say. Russian authorities escalated claims that something happened in the Zaporozhye NPP. That's it. CNBC. I thought CNBC, oh, look, the opening paragraph, they're going to mention it. Yet. Ahead of the visit, IAEA Chief Rafael Grossi said the mission was aware of increased military activity in the area, but was determined to press ahead with its plan to visit the facility and meet personnel there. Increased activity was taking place around the ZNPP. That's it. And then I saw this title from Radio Free Europe. The CIA-funded Radio Free Europe. I said, no way. They're going to actually admit to Zelensky's botched raid at the ZNPP. Their title was Red Cross Chief Warns Combatants are playing with fire at the Zaporozhye nuclear plant. I read that title. I said, they're going to mention it. They have to. The Red Cross is mentioning it. Nope. Niet. Nada. Robert Mardini, head of the International Committee of the Red Cross, has warned that fighting between Russian and Ukrainian forces around the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant must be halted immediately before a massive nuclear incident causes a humanitarian catastrophe. Nothing. No mention of Zelensky's botched raid. Not one mention. And I read all the articles. I went down towards the end. Nothing. They admitted to nothing. Absolutely incredible. And, we got more information with regards to this raid. And this really was something out of a movie script. And we have a lot of rumors which are indicating, and they're just rumors and speculation, but I'm kind of thinking these rumors are true. Where there's smoke, there's fire. But Boris Johnson actually was the one that came out with this plan, and that the soldiers that participated in this amphibious landing and this raid of the ZNPP were actually some of the first batch of soldiers that were trained in the UK. And Boris Johnson, when he was in Kiev for Independence Day on the 24th, 25th of August, he's the one, along with his advisors, that brought this plan to Zelensky, and they were like, go for it. And from what I understand, the plan was just something out of a movie. It really is something out of a Hollywood flick. The plan was for these troops to take the nuclear plant right at the time that the IAEA officials were arriving at that nuclear plant, and they were going to take it over, and then they were going to be the ones to guarantee the safety of the ZNPP, and then the UK, along with the US, would then come out with statements right away saying that we have to get a UN mission there. We have to secure the safety of the IAEA officials, who are now under the protective custody of Zelensky's forces, and this is a big win for freedom and for the safety of the nuclear power plant. Hurrah! And you see, all our money and weapons have not gone to waste, because the billions we've poured into Ukraine have prevented a nuclear catastrophe from taking place. And now these brave commandos, they've secured the plant, and now we have to secure the region with peacekeepers and other forces there, and all of this stuff. I mean, really stuff coming out of Hollywood script writers. But the interesting part, from what I read about this plan, was that Russian intel was onto this from the beginning, and they were waiting for the barges to land, and they were waiting for these commandos to make their move, and then boom, they just obliterated them. And when word came to some of the forces that were back at the on the barges, when word came back to them that the first landing force was completely obliterated, they tried to retreat and push back, and they got obliterated as well. I mean, if you are to believe some of the reports coming out of the Russian side of things, then Russian intel was waiting for them. And as Admiral Akbar from The Empire Strikes Back, or The Return of the Jedi, if you know that movie, well, Admiral Akbar, and I think it is Admiral Akbar, his words ring true. It's a trap. It's a trap. And that's what happened. The Russian military was waiting for this. Maybe they were. Maybe they weren't. Maybe they're playing this up as well. Who knows? But the reports are that they were waiting for this, and they pounced on it. And the UN, the IAEA and the UN actually thanked the Russians for keeping the IAEA team safe. Quote, "We are glad that the Russian Federation did what it needed to do to keep our inspectors safe," said Stephanie Dujarric to reporters. This is what she told reporters in a briefing in New York when asked about what happened, the Moscow's comments and what happened in Zaporozhye. Quote, "As with any UN mission, it is the responsibility of those who control a certain area to keep the UN staff safe." Interesting words. I just thought of this right now as I was reading this. As with any UN mission, it is the responsibility of those who control a certain area to keep the UN staff safe. Thanking the security people and the drivers for the tremendous job of getting the IAEA team safely in and out the Zaporozhye MPP. You see, it is the people that control the area, according to this UN official in New York. It is their responsibility to keep the IAEA people safe. Her statement, to me, confirms the rumored narrative of the Zelensky regime, which was to take over the ZMPP right when the IAEA arrived, and for them to say, now it is our responsibility, according to the UN mission, according to the UN Charter, according to international law, whatever it is now our mission to protect and to keep the IAEA staff safe. Thus, we're here. We've taken control of the power plant. Now we have to keep them safe. Russia, you're out. We're in. Everything is safe now and secure. No threat of a nuclear incident. That was the plan. That was the Hollywood script. But the Russians, they knew what was going on from the get-go, if you believe the narrative coming out of Russia. Either way, the end result is the same. This was a botched assault, and a terrible embarrassment, a tragedy for all the troops that perished, but an absolute embarrassment for the Zelensky regime. And yesterday in my video, I kind of asked, how are they going to cover this up? What are they going to do? Are they going to memory hold this? Are they going to come up with an alternative narrative? Are they going to try to pin the blame on Zelensky? Well, I think we have our answer. They're just going to memory hold this. They're just not going to talk about it. And if people talk about it, they're going to say this never happened, and this is just Kremlin propaganda. That is how they are going to deal with this, the collective West. Speaking about memory holding botched military advances, or should we say botched counteroffenses, well, we got all kinds of spin coming out from the collective West with regards to the great Ukraine, the great Kherson Ukraine counteroffensive. And we are getting reports now from various journalists, very pro-Ukrainian journalists, who are saying that this Kherson counteroffensive in its fourth day is a complete and utter failure. Terrible videos from Kherson. Won't share much, but it looks like the counteroffensive was a failure. UK media, the Evening Standard, they're taking a different approach, and they're saying, well, this counteroffensive wasn't so much strategic as it was symbolic. And the Evening Standard even says, against strong military advice, Zelensky ordered the attack. Well, to be fair, Evening Standard, it was Zelensky and Boris Johnson who ordered the attack. And from what we understand, much of the forces involved may have even been trained in the UK. So, you know, you have that. But the Defense Ministry of the UK, they come out with a report, a briefing every day, and they're just saying that heavy fighting continues in southern Ukraine, including shelling in the Energodar district near the Russian-occupied Zaporozhye nuclear power plant. They're saying that Russia's military performance in Ukraine has highlighted that Russia's military strategic exercises, such as the Vostok, have failed to sustain the military's ability to conduct large-scale complex operations. And the UK Ministry of Defense, in their daily briefing, they said that despite the war in Ukraine, on the 1st of September, the Russian military started exercises in Vostok, the 22nd annual joint strategic exercise, marking the culmination of military training for the year. Russia publicly claimed that 50,000 troops will take part. However, it's unlikely that more than 15,000 personnel will be actively involved this year. This is around 20% of the forces that participated in the Vostok exercises in 2018. So they're just saying it's unlikely. They don't have proof. They're saying it's unlikely, but they don't even touch the details of the Zaporozhye ZNPP assault, the failure there, and they don't even touch Kherson. And this is the daily intelligence update from the UK Ministry of Defense, the defense and intelligence agencies. So for them to not even talk about these great counteroffenses and these amphibious assaults means that they went really, really bad. And instead, what do they focus on? They focus on the Vostok exercises that are happening in the east of Russia. And what do they say? They're saying, well, Russia is claiming 50,000 troops are taking part in these exercises, but it's more like 15,000, or we think it's 15,000 troops. Why? Well, because the Ukraine military has completely demolished and weakened the Russian military. And that's why you only have, according to the UK, what they believe to be 15,000 Russian troops taking part in the Vostok exercises. So they don't even mention what happened in in Kherson or in Zaporozhye, Energador, this whole region. They don't even touch it. That's a clear indication that it's going very, very bad. Like, very bad. And on a side note, if the Russian military is so weakened and the Vostok exercises are an outright admission, according to the UK, that the Russian military is so weakened that they can only afford 15,000 troops to take part in these exercises, then why is India and China cozying up to the Russian military? Why are they taking part in these exercises? Even the White House, in their press briefing the other day, said that they're alarmed at the fact that India is cooperating with Russia in these exercises. Why would India want to align itself with a weak Russian military? Why would China want to align itself with a failing Russian military? Doesn't quite make sense. But, you know, this is the narrative coming out of the collective West. India, by the way, they commissioned their first aircraft carrier, the IAC Vikrant, the largest and most complex warship ever built in India's maritime history, into the Indian Navy at a ceremony in Kochi, Kerala. I think it is the first aircraft carrier that India has built on their own. I'm not sure if that's correct, but I think that's right. The Russian ambassador to India, Denis Alpilov, he said that it's a proud moment for India. They built a major aircraft carrier. India is moving towards self-reliance and has shown that it's moving fastly towards becoming a major global power. The world needs super strong India. We are very much committed and enthusiastic about future cooperation between Russia and India in trade, technology, production, and other fields despite current difficulties and tensions in the world. Those are the words from the Russian ambassador to India, and it just makes you wonder, why would India and China take part in these military exercises if, believing the UK Ministry of Defense, if they knew that the Russian military was so weakened from the Zelensky war machine? Why would they cooperate with Russia on anything if they had even the slightest indication that the Russian government and the Russian military was on the verge of collapse? So the Transcarpathian region, they are announcing September 2nd to be a day of mourning because of the horrific losses suffered in this Zelensky-Kherson counteroffensive. The region of Ukraine has declared the 2nd of September a day of mourning for the 128th Brigade. And we are getting news that the Zelensky regime, they're not going to pull back. They're actually going to send a third and a fourth wave right into the Russian artillery in Kherson to get annihilated by the Russian artillery. So the Zelensky regime is not, they're not pulling back. They're going to continue and send more and more troops right into the Russian artillery grinder in Kherson. Even though the first 3-4 days and the first 2 waves of counterattacks failed miserably, and you're getting numbers of around 2,000 to 3,000 to 4,000 casualties, the Zelensky regime is still pushing forward. It's what I said in my video update yesterday. The collective West, their plan is, we're going to throw as many men towards Russia, believing that Russian artillery is going to run out sooner or later, and that'll be when we win. That's the bet that they're making. Our manpower going up against Russia's artillery. And let's see who can last longer. So those are the orders that the Zelensky regime is executing. And in a video I made a couple of days ago, I actually, very noisy in this direction, I made a statement. I put out a theory where I said, what if Zaluzhny, the commander-in-chief of the Ukraine military, what if he's so sick of dealing with Zelensky and having to constantly watch Zelensky not listen to his military advice over and over again, and the fact that Zelensky wouldn't take his advice to not launch this Kherson counteroffensive. What if Zaluzhny said, you know what, Zelensky, I wash my hands of any responsibility. Do whatever the hell you want. Go ahead with this Kherson counteroffensive. Listen to Bojo the clown. I'm not going to take any responsibility for this. What if he did that, knowing that this would be a failure? I mean, I'm being very cynical here, but knowing that this would be a failure, and knowing that once this is a failure, then the military can perhaps seize power and stop the madness. What if there was something like that going on? Well, it looks like Belarusian President Lukashenko is hinting at the same thing. He came out with a statement yesterday, and he said that the Ukraine conflict will soon be over. Speaking on Thursday during a virtual class for all Belarusian school and university students, Lukashenko said that Ukraine is being divided and that a conflict is brewing between president and the military. A conflict is brewing between the president and the military. According to the Belarusian leader, the Ukrainian army is the only power in the country that can pound the table and say, let's talk, or else Ukraine will be wiped off the face of the earth. Lukashenko argued that the country's military, which has first-hand experience of what is actually happening on the front line, sees that it's hopeless. Lukashenko also warned that the conflict in the neighboring country could spiral into the most dreadful confrontation involving the use of weapons of mass destruction. He also stated that Russia cannot suffer a defeat there, adding that Minsk stands firmly by its ally Moscow. So, very interesting statement from Lukashenko. Also hinting at the fact that this horrific catastrophe of a counteroffensive may actually be the opening that the Ukraine military needs to finally get the Zelensky regime out and to stop the madness, as Lukashenko says. Putin, by the way, was also speaking to schools. September 1st was the day when all schools opened in Russia, and it's a big event. It's like a big day when everyone goes back to school. And Putin was speaking to children that were attending classes. And he said that everyone believes some kind of aggression on the part of Russia is happening today. No one understands or knows that after the coup d'etat in Ukraine in 2014, the people of Donetsk, Lugansk, and Crimea, a significant part of them in any case, did not want to recognize the outcome of this coup. New post-Maidan Ukrainian leaders began a war on their own citizens and have been waging it for 8 years. And our goal, our mission, the mission of our soldiers of the Donbas militia is to end the war, to protect people, and of course, Russia itself. So that is what Putin said to school children. Let's do 2 more stories in a clown world. A real quick story. Big news in Argentina. There was an attempted assassination of the vice president. We even have footage of this. If you search for it, you'll see the footage. It shows that there was a gun pulled on Vice President Cristina Kirchner. But from what I understand, the gun failed at the last moment. So when this guy was about to shoot, his name is Fernando Andres Sabag Montiel. When he pulled the trigger, it failed. So there was an attempted assassination of the vice president of Argentina. Big news there. And let's talk real quickly about how Poland is demanding 1.3 trillion in war reparations from Germany. 1.3 trillion in war reparations. This is coming from the Law and Justice Party, from the leader of the Law and Justice Party, even though he's not the prime minister or the president, he is kind of the man pulling the strings in the background, Kaczynski. And he has come out with a new number, this is like a newly adjusted figure of 1.3 trillion for World War II reparations. And he's demanding that Germany pay it. He says Germany has the money. We not only prepared the report, but we have also taken the decision as to the further steps, Kaczynski said to reporters during his presentation. We will turn to Germany to open negotiations on reparations. And Kaczynski added that it will be a long and not an easy path, but one day will bring success. He insisted that the move would serve true Polish-German reconciliation and that it would be based on truth. He claimed that the German economy is capable of paying the bill. Now, Germany responded to this, and this is via Zero Hedge. They said Germany hit back in a statement from its foreign ministry, which said that the question of reparations was concluded long ago, with Poland renouncing further claims, and that the German position that compensation was paid to East Bloc nations in the years after the war has not changed. Poland's combative stance towards Germany has intensified after Russia's invasion of Ukraine. I go to leave noise, and noise finds me. Let me walk now the other way. And let me read you that last sentence. Murphy's Law. Murphy's Law. Zero had said, Poland's combative stance towards Germany has intensified after Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Interesting statement, but I'm not 100% in agreement. I think a better way to state this would be Poland's combative stance towards Germany has intensified as Germany continues to weaken. I think that's a more true statement, because what's going to happen now is, as all the EU countries, as every country in the world sees Germany getting weaker and weaker, they're all going to smell blood. And they're all going to say, now's our time to pounce on Germany. This is like the law of the jungle, you know? The more Germany weakens, the more countries around Germany, or countries that have any type of grievances with Germany, the more they're going to push to further weaken Germany and to further extract whatever they can from Germany, because Germany is no longer a powerful nation, right? It's moving towards third world status. And Poland, rightly or wrongly, they sense their opportunity and they're saying, now's our chance. Now is our chance. You know, kick them while they're down, but more importantly, there's blood in the water. Now is our time. This is how it works in the jungle. You're in the jungle, baby. As Guns N' Roses, as Axl Rose once stated, once sang. Anyway, let's do a clown world and we'll wrap it up. The clown world, of course, is from Boris the Clown, who I think is without a doubt our clown world leader. And he was speaking to the British people, and he has a solution to the energy crisis for all UK citizens. Solution's real simple. Just buy a new kettle. Buy a new kettle to make your tea, and everything's going to be all right.
If you have an old kettle that takes ages to boil, it may cost you £20 to replace it. But if you get a new one, you'll save £10 a year for every year on your £10 a year every year on your electricity bill.
That was Boris Johnson giving everyone the secret to lower energy and electricity bills. That's the solution. Keep on sending billions to Ukraine. Don't worry about any of that. Just buy a new kettle. And you're going to save 10 euros and all is good. All is good. That is Boris Johnson's solution to the energy crisis that he helped fuel, that he created. And Boris Johnson is absolutely personally responsible for all of the collapse taking place in the collective West. Make no mistake about it, because we know now, as a fact, that he was the one that personally prevented Zelensky from negotiating a peace with Russia on multiple occasions. And now we have the rumors that he's the one that ordered the catastrophic Kherson counteroffensive. So Boris, wow, He is going to go down in history as perhaps the worst, one of the worst, if not the worst, Prime Minister of the UK. That one you can guarantee it. Anyway, that is the video, guys. TheDuran.locals.com. Check out Alexandra's channel. Check out the Duran's channel. And look for us on Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, and Telegram. Take care.